Yo, yo, what's up, family? What is going on? What's going on, Doug? Drop something in the chat, and we'll see. We'll see if I heard or not. I get regular information that's going on about it. We got to be wording careful though, of course, because y'all know what it is. Yeah, that I did know. I do know about them forcing the data release. I do know about that. Because remember, originally they was talking about like 70 years or some crap like that to release all the data, and that was just ridiculous. But as I always said, this was a situation where majority of the stuff that we just had opinions and stuff on wound up coming true, and that's pretty much what it is. It was a setup. Unfortunately, they divided the entire country against itself. So those who knew, who took heed and did what they had to do, you're in a more favorable position. At least as far as the information we got. And for those who didn't, I mean, we see what's what as the time goes on. Hopefully, at the end of the day, nobody gets hurt. So we'll see what's up with that. Yeah. Who else in here? What's good with y'all? Doug, Jamar Allen, I see y'all in the building. Y'all see the title, and anyone who's been following Dr. Inky knows why I'm pretty much presenting this information. I always do a follow-up off of things that KT and Inky do, or things that I find on my own. So always good information to report with. Before I refrigerate it, show you guys, yeah, just got finished doing a little bit of juicing. You can see the separation happening already. I literally finished juicing this like 5 minutes ago. But I have a new webcam too. That's what the upward angle is about. I'm not using my common webcam. It looks pretty crispy so far. Y'all let me know out there. Let me know that the music is not interfering with the sound too, right? So yeah, look at that color. And I'm spinning, right? Now when I refrigerate, I like to show people this right after I make it, because when I refrigerate it, it's not as deep green. It gets a bit of a foggy look. Obviously once you refrigerate it, as usual, the moment something comes off of a tree, the enzymatic value starts to go down. So when you buy your fruits and veggies, you want to kind of go at it if you're going to do any processing to them right away and get them frozen or refrigerated so they don't degrade too much. So the moment this is made, it must be drank within 48 hours. Anything after that is a rapid degrading. So, I want you to see that one. This is when Amber is in the building. I see you. Now, for those who listen to Dr. Inky's lecture, he said one of the things that you can have if you are diabetic is green juice. Now, this is kind of a 50-50 thing, because this batch right here, just in this jar, has 5 apples in it. And this whole thing is about a quart, I believe. It's about a quart. Yeah, it's about a quart. So there's 5 apples in this. There's a handful of dandelion, a handful of spinach, and a handful of La Ciento kale. I'll show you guys what that looks like in a second. But yeah, I wanted you to see it. This is for one of the people that I'm working with at the gym tomorrow. Now the one for me and the wife to chug on would be the pineapple and ginger. Look at that pigment. Look how yellow. Look at the color. When I make juices, color and presentation matters to me. So now obviously this is literally what you see in here is 1 pineapple worth of juice. It's about a medium-sized pineapple. It's not a huge one. And about a 1 by 3 inch slice of ginger is in here too. So spicy, but not too spicy, right? But yeah, color. Very important. Yeah, wanted you guys to see those before I dump them into the refrigerator early on. They don't take long to make. Everyone knows that a juicer takes longer cleanup than smoothies. But for those of you who have not seen Inky's work in the past, you should know that in a diabetes regimen, you do not have smoothies as an option. Okay, so keep that in mind. Smoothies are not an option. They are very concentrated, sugary drinks. Now, what if you're doing just literally all bitter veggies? for your smoothie. Well, I hope you're not you know, chasing it with any type of juices. Like, for instance, you don't want to use like what I just said, spinach, dandelion, lasiento, kale, and then say, oh, for my liquid, I'm going to use orange juice. Nope. You would have to use water. So then in that case, but the issue with it is the it's heavy fiber, and it's concentrated. And you know that the fibers of plants are made up with glucose molecules and carbon. So if it's strictly bitter greens, sure, go for it. But if it's like I'm going to have a smoothie and it's going to be banana, pineapple, spinach, and then some juice on top, you can't do that, because then you're talking about highly concentrated sugar, so that goes out the window. All right, how are you doing out there in the world? Make sure you guys check the like button so we show up in the algorithm. As usual, I have no idea how deep these videos will go out, because once your channel gets a strike for certain things, you know, you kind of hit that algorithm pretty hard, so we'll see what happens with that. And of course, the video will always be here for later on. So, yep. Give me 1 second, guys. Throw these in the refrigerator real quick. All right, so we had to refrigerate that. All right, so I mentioned that I would let you guys see lasiento kale. So this is the type of kale that I usually use. It's a deeper green, which is why I use it in juices. Let me hold it up close. That is lasiento kale. And it's going to always have this ovalish design. There's your stalk, right? It'd be nice, you know, to grow it yourself. Of course, some people always want to ask what's better than what. This is a deeper green than the regular kale. So to me, that would signal higher magnesium content. So always like a deeper green, but you can't go wrong with, you know, when you get kale one way or another. It's just that when I make my juice, I like a really deep green color. So I use this for one of the deepest green colors, like completely as is. Just rinse the stalk off, shove it right in there. All right. So yeah, lasiento kale. Risto, yeah, what's going on? Big ups, big ups. So, what are we talking about in this video here? Of course, by the title, you kind of get the point. Based on Dr. Inky's 11-hour lecture, and then followed up with a 5-hour lecture, and then followed up with a 4-hour interview. I'm pretty sure you guys have gotten a lot of information. Now, I like to follow up and simplify a few things quickly for you guys, so that you have a simple understanding. You should also be aware of what it is Dr. Inky is trying to do. So pay attention to his card about the Inky cycle. Hold on, let me pull that up for you here real quick, because I have it on my Instagram along with a status, right? So you can see the Inky cycle here. Melanin, tyrosine, coherent domain water, and you see the musical notes at the bottom, which denotes sound. Okay. And along with so tyrosine, tryptophan, the 2 amino acids that help you formulate proper melanin usage, so to speak, right? And NAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. That's something that you'll find within the body that's used to power the electron transport chain, just to keep that simple. And through these things over here on the left, they interface with these things here on the right in order to have your body function properly. So DNA, RNA, the code, the book of life, so to speak, right? The mitochondria, you know, they have their own DNA, but that's the power. They help power the cell, right? They recycle the light, because your body works off of light. Light is information, and the mitochondria help recycle it. Sirtuins are pretty much a type of protein. When you guys do a study on them, you're going to find out they're highly related to aging. Of course, they're related to more than just that, but they have a huge premise to go along with aging. Now, a lot of you don't notice, but Dr. Inky about a year and a half ago had a free book that he was actually giving along. Not the one you've seen with the diabetes, but there was another free book he was giving out, and he gave out thousands of them, actually. He was shipping them out all over the place. And that book had sirtuins mentioned in it, but I created what is called an illuminated manuscript version. I'm the only one who holds that version. And those of you who know what illuminated manuscript is, it's the ancient, remember how papyrus was colored like a brownish yellow? The paper design color is like that. It's got the tooth medium to it. You know, it kind of looks like it's got like nerve fibers running through it. And then you have the real vibrant blue and golds on the page with ornate designs going around the border. So at some point I'll show that to you guys. But yes. Yeah. Don't worry, Black Voltron. I literally just started. You didn't miss anything. So you're solid. But I'm not surprised. The message always gets out late. What else we got? NRF2. That is your body's antioxidant system. So that's down towards the bottom midpoint of the picture. It looks like an ancient war helmet, basically. But yes, these are all things that connect sound, light, electricity, magnetism, water, melanin, all of the good stuff, right? So he wants you to be aware of what the Inky cycle is. I put a little bit of a explanation there on my Instagram. It says the Inky cycle, how sound becomes light. That was the name of his record he put out. Because light is in format ions. I broke that up on purpose because I always tell people in means inside, format means what formation you're built in, and ion means light. So the light is the information which shapes the format, and it's the inside of your body. So when you combine them, you have information. And I always like to remind people that when you see the letters ION in a word, it usually designates that it imparts that type of light. Imagination, dictionary, information. So you guys kind of get the point, right? What else we got? Yeah. All right. So it says here, how sound becomes light, because light is information for the body that makes it work on all levels via or by way of the use of frequency, water, and melanin. And with these tools, phosphorus shall light the path. So even though you have electricity, which is the movement of the signals and the information throughout your body, I like to liken phosphorus as like the light stations, like they're nodes around your body. And as long as electricity is flowing through your body, the phosphorus nodes actually light up to let you know that things are alive. When you guys get an x-ray, you probably notice there's a lot of phosphorus in bone and in the body, so it causes things to glow if you x-ray it and, you know, blow it up. You know, you let that light into the machine, you know, it can show where the actual lit paths are, so to speak, right? Yeah, pretty much just getting started. So, be aware of the Inky cycle. Inky is also saying, and I believe this is actually a good idea, but Inky is talking about, because of the amount of reading and studying he does, he's talking about using him as R&D for research and development. That would obviously be obvious for quite a few people that we know in the holistic community, but if he's going to keep, you know, going through what he's going through to impart new information, a new way to look at things, and then we just find out later on it's true because we're waiting for other people to validate it, right? Then I think it's worth it if there's somebody who's looking out for us as a culture for us to actually build them up. So I do actually agree with the fact that he's saying, you know, fund the effort for him to perform R&D. If we don't fund the effort, then that just sends a signal to him that people prefer not to. So it just, the actions denote what's going to actually happen. Okay, so let's move on from there. So let's get a working definition, and then let's drop some information on them, right? Type 2 diabetes, formerly known as adult onset diabetes, is a form of diabetes that is characterized by high blood sugar, insulin resistance, because people don't pay attention to that. They hear insulin resistance, they don't really dig into what that means, but we'll get into that. A relative lack of insulin. Common symptoms include increased thirst, frequent urination, and unexplained weight loss. Symptoms may include increased hunger, feeling tired, and sores that do not heal. Often symptoms come on slowly. Long-term complications from high blood sugar include heart disease, strokes, diabetic retinopathy, which can result in blindness and kidney failure, and poor blood flow in the limbs, which may lead to amputations. The onset of hyposmolar hyperglycemic state may occur. However, ketoacidosis is uncommon. It primarily occurs as a result of obesity, aka lack of exercise, and some people are more genetically at risk than others. Diabetes makes up about 90% of cases of diabetes. Diabetes type 2 anyway, makes up about 90% of cases of diabetes, with other 10% due primarily to type 1 diabetes and gestational diabetes. Type 1 is the one you're kind of born with, where your body does not make insulin or does not make sufficient insulin to match up to the sugars within your body. And then there's gestational diabetes, which is a diabetes that's onset due to pregnancy. I guess you could say complications with pregnancy, right? It even tells you here in type 1 diabetes, there's a lower total level of insulin to control blood glucose, right? Due to an autoimmune induced loss of insulin producing beta cells in the pancreas. Okay. That's good working definition. Of course, we can go down further and further and go over all the classic stuff that we've always heard about. But so diabetes. Now, in the black community, Inky took 11 hours plus an additional 6 plus an additional 4 to explain the implications of African Americans, black people, you melanated peoples of the world, right? Melanated peoples of the world. The implications of us dealing with sugars, right? And he presented to us all the multiple ways that sugar gets to us. Vinegar is a type of sugar. Alcohol is a type of sugar. Sugar is sugar, right? Processed sugar. And some people are like, oh, well, there's processed sugar and there's sugar and that sugar. Fruit and veggie sugar, unprocessed, has a good affinity with the body. It comes with the proper fiber, the proper water, the proper mineral that makes up the fruit and the veggie in order for it to work well within the body. Generally, if you try and overdo it on fruit and veggies, the amount of water in it is going to fill you up before you could ever get to the point where you could cause any problems, such as diabetes, at least generally, right? There's always some outlying positions, like they say genetic factors, but genetic factors, I'm not a fan of the whole genetic thing, because what you would be saying is genetically your body is going to make itself sick. And this is a metabolic illness, and it doesn't work like that. When something is a metabolic illness, it has to do with the ability for your body to build up and break down. And it's usually attached to food, digestive tract, which is why they talk about, immunity being in the gut and all those things like that, right? Let me see. I think information is given in short, brief messages. 11 hours, I would have gotten nothing out of that. Well, you shouldn't get nothing out of it. You can, because remember, you don't have to take it as it's given. If you want short pieces, then just break the video up. YouTube saves the position you're in. So when you watch the video, you could go for a half an hour to 2 hours and just stop. And then come back the next day, go for another half hour, stop. And just continue to do that until the video is finished. Now, me, I'm not a keep up with the Joneses type person. If I just don't have time to keep up with videos, I don't keep up with them. I catch it when I can catch it. 11 hours is long. But I know for me, I broke it up. I didn't watch the whole 11 hours in one day because I got stuff going on during that Saturday, right? But I was able to complete it within 6 days. So just by breaking it up. Now, whether you retain the information or not depends on the level in which the person is presenting the info to you. Meaning the more complicated the terminology, the harder it is for you to draw in the information because the terminology is too difficult. If you can't get past the terminology, you're not going to pick up the data, which is why I come along and tend to try and, I might explain some things using a little terminology, but I like to circle back around and give you a simpler explanation. But even though the video was very long, just remember when you watch it, YouTube saves your spot. So all you gotta do is pick up where you left off. Don't try and swallow it all. You cook the turkey on Thanksgiving, you don't try and eat it all in one day, right? People save it as leftovers and so on and so forth, right? So just keep that part in mind. Don't try and get all of that at once. If you need it in bite-sized pieces, listen to it in bite-sized pieces. Get something out of it, stop. Next day, get something out of it, stop. Or get something out of it that you need and then go research the thing you got out of it. So don't let people's creation of videos and people talking to you a certain way stop you from learning. Just get what you can get and say, I'll come back to it later. Even in this live stream right now, if it's just hitting too much, stop, come back later. Just remember where you left off. Because, sometimes for us to get this information out to y'all, we only have certain pockets of time. So to break it up, we just have a bunch of people sending us messages saying, when are you going to finish? So if we just get it out and then leave it up, you can break it apart as you need to. Still trying to figure out how they set these chapters on these things too, because you can actually break this information into chapters. And once I learn how to do this, I'm the type of person who will knock down all the videos I got and put up one really well organized video instead of doing semi-rambling like I am now, right? But okay, so let's get it. Type 1 diabetes is not what we're talking about. That's when you're born with what they deem as autoimmune condition where your body does not make enough insulin to match up to the sugars that you're eating, which basically means that when you take sugar into your body, it spikes your sugar levels and it does not neutralize it. Like when you have insulin, you kind of create a neutralizer, fiber, insulin, things like that. You create a neutralizer for your sugar level spiking. When the sugar levels spike, you become at risk for all those things that they were mentioning earlier, right? Like right here on the screen: heart disease, strokes, diabetic retinopathy, blindness, kidney failure. So you never want the sugar to spike and do its harmful thing to your body. Sugar is a crystal. Sugar is a crystal. Crystallized products in the body have to become liquid to move. You stack up a bunch of solid objects inside of the bloodstream. It obviously, just like any river that you throw rocks in enough, slows down the flow. So if you can slow down the flow of a river with dams and rocks and sand, you can slow down your bloodstream with a lot of crystals and gunk and junk. So you need to understand that those two things go hand in hand. Okay? So now, when a substance that has the ability to draw water out to liquefy itself, which is what sugars do. When you take in sugar in a crystal form, it's going to draw in water one way or another to liquefy itself. Now, if you're dehydrated, if you don't drink enough water and you keep piling sugar in, the water to turn it into liquid has to come from somewhere. So if it comes from you, your vein, remember, it's moving through your bloodstream, your capillaries, your veins, which is just it's a size, and that's other physiological stuff, but blood vessels, the shipment, river, basically the shipment, the highway where things move around and get dumped off at different cell locations so your body can build and tear down and and get junk out and bring new stuff in. Capillaries, very tiny blood vessels. Veins, deoxygenated blood. When you breathe in, oxygen links up with the iron in the blood as electrons moves around the body. When the electrons get used, it's considered deoxygenated blood. So that moves through the vein system and back out. You breathe that out, okay? So if you're putting a bunch of crystals in the bloodstreams, the capillaries, the veins and such, and it starts to pack up, it has to become a liquid somehow. So it's drawing water from the cells, from the veins, from the capillaries, things that are wet in your body. It's drawing the water from there, thus further dehydrating you. What else is it doing? Well, if something is supposed to be wet so that it can be flexible, and water starts leaking out of it to liquefy the crystals to get it out of there, you start to dry out the thing that's supposed to be wet. So therefore, it will not stretch the way it's supposed to. Stretching in biology, in human biology, is considered dilation. So that's when they say our blood vessels dilate. They go from small and they can stretch and get bigger. If they dry out, it's impossible to stretch. So that's what they mean when they say it can cause the blood vessels to become rigid and harden. And when that happens and they can't stretch, that means if proper oxygen is needed in that area, if we have to send more oxygen in than usual, it can't stretch to receive it. So you got this thin pipe, you got a huge amount of sugar in there, you're trying to push more blood through to get more oxygen in, more whatever through, and it can't get through. So therefore, now, since the channel can't open up more, the only alternate option that you got is to raise the blood pressure, because you have to get it through faster one way or another. Now, if there's no water within the cell, then that means that the blood becomes more viscous, so it gets thicker, which means not only do you have a channel that won't open up to let more in, you have a heavier liquid in there, okay? And that heavier liquid can't move as much. Now, eventually, when that builds up and tries to stretch the walls anyway, if it's in your brain and the walls stretch and can't stretch, they'll burst, and that's where your stroke comes from. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. God Body, the artist, the art of life, is in the building, Brother Freddie. What is going on? All right? So hopefully you guys got that part. So now that we know the sugars of crystals can draw out liquid within the body, thereby drying it out, and the body must contain a certain amount of water at all times within its different parts in order for it to operate, you can automatically start knocking down factors. If I dry out the blood vessels within my eye to the point where they can't stretch and then they break, that's when you destroy blood vessels in the eye, you can't see. If oxygen has to reach areas in the feet and the hands in different parts of the body, and you dry them out, Liquid can't leak through because there isn't much liquid in the body because there's very little water. When you create a cut on the body, they have there's names, all kinds of names, ICANS, VCANs. You might get some histamine reactions in there. Different types of cells come in, white blood cells. But there's fluid leakage when you have a cut. The fluid leakage begins this cascade of proteins coming into the area, liquefying the area. The blood coagulates and it starts to make things stop where they are. Then eventually a stitching pattern happens and it starts to pull things back together. If the body is dried out and there's no fluid leaking into the cut area, that means that cut area does not heal the way it should. When that doesn't heal the way it should, the chances of bacteria, viruses, and things that don't belong start to get into the body and cause it to atrophy or decay. If that's happening, then that means that proper blood flow, at least good clean blood flow, is not moving through that area of the body. That area of the body starts to turn color. The proper oxygen cannot get in anymore because areas are destroyed. Thereby, doctors, instead of healing the area or stopping you from getting into that problem, just cut the problem off. Okay, so there's your cut off parts from diabetes. It always starts with the tingling and the numbness and then the cuts and the bruising and all that stuff. It has levels. What else are we talking about with diabetes, right? Let's look at what they were talking about in terms of symptoms. Because again, this water situation is bringing us home, right? Real quick. It says here, common symptoms include increased thirst. Well, why? I just told you. A lot of crystals in the bloodstream. From processed sugar, right? Processed sugar it's not like fruit. It doesn't come with the water. It's concentrated. Candy is concentrated sugar. There's not a lot. Think about it. You bite an apple, it's not like biting a Snickers bar. Eating cheesecake is not like eating watermelon. So less water, more dense packed material, dry materials, crystals are coming into your body that have to receive water to liquefy so they can be pushed out. And because it's not something that, food that kind of lines up perfectly with your body, like I was showing you guys this La Ciento kale, right? When you have the food that you eat, I eat an apple. The skin is the fiber, the liquid coming out of it, and the tiny particles in it. I get my water, I get my mineral, I get my fiber. When I get my fiber, my bacteria are happy. The enzymatic reactions happen the way they're supposed to. I get B12 and all these things. So I get the water to go with the sugar and the mineral for structure. So everything takes care of itself. And whatever water is reabsorbed by the colon will help hydrate the cells, and whatever's left will get peed out and dumped out. And because of the fiber content, you'll be able to pass it. You'll be able to do number 2 in the bathroom easily. So it's all taking care of itself. This is why Dr. Layla Africa used to say, I promise you, if you eat fruits and vegetables only, you're not going to get colon cancer. Because he knew that God had created things with the proper water, mineral, and fiber that come naturally out of the earth the way they are for your body to be able to maintain itself. Okay? So, we're talking about increased thirst. Line it up the same way. If putting a bunch of crystals, processed stuff into my body is causing the water in my cells to draw out to liquefy them, once they are liquefied, my body's going to pee them out, sweat them out, do whatever it needs to do to get it out of my body. So if it's doing that, then that means I'm left with less water in my body. So areas of my body where the water is being drawn out will start to dry out. Lips are one of them. So I wind up feeling dry. My eyes feel dry, lips feel dry, skin starts to look dry. Things just dry out. So you get an increased thirst because your body's telling you what? I need more water. I need more liquid to come in, right? And side information to go along with that you guys should be aware of. Remember, water is good for the body. But for the body to properly hydrate it, there has to be matching mineral. Because when you have like trying to think, like let's say my fingers, these are like cells, right? These two circles are cells. They're next to each other, but there's a spacing in between them. So you got the cell wall, you got the interstitial space, which is the space in between, and there's liquid in there too. So as the water comes into your body, wherever the minerals are, they self-balance. So what happens is the minerals start to dissolve into the water you put in your body, and they self-balance. If it's too much mineral, your body will, so that it doesn't become rigid, it'll dump some of the excess mineral. If it's too much water, your body will dump some of the excess water. Okay, so you need to keep that in mind. It's a self-balancing mechanism. It's like the thing's just wishy-wash to keep the mineralized water in your body stable. Remember, when you have tears or when you sweat, it tastes salty, and that's for a reason. because the way to properly hydrate a body is to have mineral. When you dehydrate, some people think that if you dehydrate badly, you can just feed the person water and it'll keep them alive. Not in all cases, because the body is so low on water, it's very low on energy too. So it may not have the energy to move the water and digest it to get it into the system. That's where IV drips come from. So IV drips move the minerals and water right into the bloodstream. And when it's right in the bloodstream, it can instantly go where it needs to go to hydrate the path, thereby sending electricity through that path to repower it up. So that's how IVs save lives. Direct drinking and eating without putting it directly in the bloodstream in a dangerous situation won't work. Okay? Now, so that's increased thirst. Frequent urination. Very important. You frequently urinate. That is a necessity. What you guys need to understand is there are a lot of videos I did before Dr. Inky did his 11-hour video. And the good thing about me hearing the stuff from him is it, because I dealt with diabetes before, is it validated a lot of stuff I had already been saying. I had already been telling people that when you go to the bathroom frequently, that's your body trying to dump the excess sugar with the water it has inside itself. Because it knows that if a crystal sits in the body long enough, drawing water in and not being moved out, it eventually destroys that area of the body. So the body's doing what it has to do to get that problem out of there quickly. Now, what Dr. Inky added on was the part about cell receptors for insulin. Your body doesn't just start off with insulin receptors on the cell. I want you to imagine a basketball with a bunch of bubble studs on top. Those bubble studs on top would be like areas where certain things can come up to the cell, connect to it, and be granted access to get in. So what happens is when there's a lot of insulin in the body, those studs on the quote-unquote basketball or cell can turn into insulin receptors, meaning receivers. So that's the area where insulin can come up, attach to the cell, and be absorbed in so that it can bind with sugar to neutralize it, okay? So frequent urination is important because we don't want to hold on to a bunch of insulin, a bunch of sugar that our body does not need, because it will dry it out and cause the so on and so forth aforementioned things that I just gave you, okay? Move on to the next one. Unexplained weight loss. Crazy. Let's I gotta think about that one for a little bit, because generally when you hit unexplained weight loss, it's a bit of a, like, Inky told people how it's a preparation ground for cancer, and that could have a lot to do with that one. So I could tell you right now, the unexplained weight loss, I could do an entire extra video on if I need to. But I'm going to get back to that one because I could ramble on and on about the unexplained weight loss. And just remember, that's a connected thing to cancer too, okay? Let's move on. Symptoms may include increased hunger. That's obvious because the food is not very mineralized. So if you're just dragging in a bunch of sugar that's dehydrating your body, by dumping the water, you have to dump the equivalent mineral. Because as there's water in the body, minerals there. You're not going to have a 90% pile of mineral with a 10% pile of water. The body has to remain a certain level of homeostasis. Otherwise, you'll have just metal sitting in your system, which is toxic. So what it has to do is it has to self-balance. So you dump too much water, eventually you're going to dump quite a bit of mineral. And then you got to start this rebuilding process back up with your mineral and your water. So you can kind of see how this damage is really stacking up, right? Thanos in the building. That last look like we got a bot in there. If you guys want to tackle that and drop that out of the chat, we got a bot sitting in there. All right. It says here, feeling tired. That's pretty obvious, right? Because when your body, remember, it's a water-based situation, and water has a lot to do with the energy of your body. So if your body is being drained of water, then you're being drained of electricity. And being drained of electricity is going to eventually, because your body is trying to counter back against it, you're actually utilizing a large amount of energy. So it's going to cause you to start to feel tired because you're not only having an issue with your metabolism, you're having an issue with healing, you have an issue with water loss and overall energy. So that just goes hand in hand with the whole thing. And I've already explained the sores that you get that do not heal. So when we're, he says that, thanks a lot, Black Voltron, way to get it out of there. So when you're talking about healing from type 2 diabetes, which is very important because, again, with the videos that Dr. Inky included, even though they were lengthy, there was a huge explanation about how diabetes single-handedly is taking out a lot of black people. And it's important for you to know that everyone knows how addictive sugar can be. I damn sure do know. Does having something sweet and processed negate the fact that something that's healthy is good? No. This is all science. This is someone playing with something that they know about our body. Hey, I give this person a mango, a watermelon. I give them grapes. I give them an apple. They really love the taste of it. What is it about that taste that they love? And then they study that. They realize that the sugar is firing off dopamine. It's making you feel good. But the natural stuff makes you feel good and it balances your body out too. What they did was they looked at the fact that when you eat the sugar and you get the dopamine release, they figured we can make money if we just elevate the feel-good chemicals off the food. Hence why you want to bring in more sugar, figure out how to concentrate it in such a way which, if you guys don't notice, you can hide a lot of salt and sugar and fat. So when you cook, you can dump, let's say you make a burger and use some oil to make the burger. You can add a little bit of sugar and a little bit of extra water to sweeten the deal, so to speak. And the burger will have a semi-sweet taste. If you take the oil out, you're going to be crunching down on sugar and it's going to taste sugary. You're not going to like it. But if I butter and oil that thing down, you would feel quite different because it has a way of masking it. It's like MSG. MSG can mask the heavy salt taste that comes with food. So you get the salt, but you don't get the it's too salty kind of thing, right? So there's the chemistry is what really kind of gets it kicking. Let me see what you say. Based on your own computer console gaming edition, I've noticed it might enhance sugar cravings and addiction. Do you agree? Yo, gaming depends. Gaming can be stressful. So when gaming is stressful, it doesn't, like in real life, when you get that fight or flight stress response, you are supposed to act on it. What your body is saying is, because remember, your body wants to stay alive. The fight or flight response is an emergency circumstance where your body says the life of your life is in jeopardy. All of its processes, even if it sends more minerals and nutrients than you need to defend yourself, and it might leave you in kind of a bad way for a little bit, it doesn't matter because all your body knows is if you don't get through the stressful situation, it might kill you. So it sends a lot of resources at once to give you the power to fight or run to stay alive. What happens is we get the signal and we don't use it. And when you hyperprofuse a bunch of minerals and resources into the bloodstream and they don't get used and then that stress response starts to calm down, the body's not going to be able to filter that back into its rightful places as fast as it can. So what it does is, instead of letting it destroy you from having too much in the system unused, because remember, when you use it, it's not in the system anymore to damage you. But if you don't use what your body gave you and it's just sitting in the bloodstream, it can damage you. So what the body does is it rapidly grabs things and packs it in the fat cells. And this is why chronic stress, adrenaline fatigue, you start to see people get obese. I had that in one of my events I had in the past. So that's the correlation there. So the thing about video games is they can make you feel good. They can stress you out, but they're very fun. When they stress you out, stress eats B vitamins and other minerals and stuff. Like you're eating energy when you do it. So because your body is like, you're getting that dopamine response, you're enthralled, it's feeling good playing the game, you want to keep the energy levels going. So when you start playing long enough, all of that energy, your mind power, your willpower is being used. So your body's telling you like, look, this feels good. And it looks like you want to keep going. You need some calories in you. So you go craving food. And most of the time you're going to crave, remember, you got to think of it as if, what if the pizza and the soda and the Chinese food and all the craziness wasn't around? Then you played the game. What would you go reaching and grabbing for? Would it be juice that I just showed you? Would it be a mango? Would it be pineapple? You don't know because you're dragged into this whole artificial life like directly. So that's the difficult part about it. Let me see. It accelerates the brain activities and sugar might slow it down. Not necessarily. It's situation dependent. So the sugar, all right, so you have a lot of energy. The processed sugar absorbs faster into the bloodstream. And because of that, you are going to pick up a surge of energy. That's why children, it's weird when you can't give them Pop-Tarts and sugary cereals and stuff and then tell them to sit the hell down. The activity that they're doing is their body's natural response saying, I got a lot of energy, and your body's creating what we would call a defensive mechanism to burn it up. The problem is the parents make them sit down and the sugar doesn't get burned up, so it turns into fat. Then the child will start to eventually get lethargic and lazy and all those things that come with sugar burning out all their receptors that gives them a positive vibe. So eventually you do get the crash. Now what the sugar does do is if you're playing the games, you're getting heavy brain stimulation, which means it's causing your blood to flow heavier to your brain. Because remember, when you exercise, it's hard to think it's clear because blood's going everywhere else except the brain. So if you're hyperprofusing sugar into your brain and it's drying the brain out, constantly running through it, that's more of a problem. It's not a case of it's messing up your ability to perform until like much later on. In the beginning, it's working on you. It's you're slowly sending so much blood up there that you're just speeding up the drying out of your own brain. So it might be the reason why they say people who play fighting video games, they get so surprised when somebody reaches like their middle. It's like almost like regular sports. When they reach the middle 30s and up, people are surprised when your reaction time is so good on the fighting games. When actually, from what you said, that's probably why they lose it. The dietary restrictions of constantly playing the game. Because let's be real, if I read most of my life and I get older, I'm going to be very good at reading. If I do pull-ups most of my life, later on in my life, I'm be very good at doing pull-ups. I don't exactly lose that. I get stronger and better at it. Why would gaming be any different? Well, probably because of what you said. That sugar's getting in there and it's damaging the brain because even though the brain is active, they're not replacing it with the proper thing, which, first of all, with the brain, a bulk of that should be fat. So they kind of have gone wrong right there. So processed things fats is just destroying the neurochemistry, and over time, the excitement is still there, but the reaction time's not there. So it's like it just depends kind of thing, right? Let me see. Overall, a lot of gamers always consume sugars around the table. Yeah, definitely do. I could definitely say when I've gone to video game competitions, especially if it's out in the boonies or at a hotel somewhere, sometimes you get lucky. The hotels have restaurants and you can actually get salads and fruit juices and things like that. But then you get some locations like they just built Nerd Street Gamers in Philly, and you go down there to get food and it's chicken fingers and fries, and obviously if you're shooting for as healthy as possible, you're going to choose the fries. And if it's me, I'm gonna choose the fries with pepper, and ketchup is being had, right? So, but that's just I'm a gamer, so that's pretty much what it is. But when I game, know what I like to get? I like to get bags of mixed nuts. And my wife will tell you straight up, when I get bags of mixed nuts, there's a good chance it's going to be the ones that's got some sugar and salt thrown on top of them. Not all the time, but usually when I'm gaming, it's going to be you'll see like the crystallized sugar and salt mixed in with the dried strawberries and the cashews and the pumpkin seeds and all kinds of stuff in there, right? So it's like you're not going one way or the other, you're lukewarm. But that's a tendency what I do. But at the same time, I have times where I can play the game for long periods of time and just don't get anything. And once I get tired, I just shut him down. So, yeah, I see what you mean there. When you sleep less than you're supposed to. Yeah, because when you take the sugar and when you get less sleep, you get the rush of energy real fast. But the problem that comes with that is the crash gets harder every time. So that's why. For me, I just be feeling like junk food. And that's just the way, from me growing up, I've created taste receptors and cell receptors that lean towards it. But I know what it's like to reverse it too. Because I definitely had a moment where bitter was the thing. Like, you couldn't tell me that they had nothing bitter. I was learning how to make I wouldn't even say creative sweets. It wasn't a thing to just get a whole watermelon and just douse that whole thing down. So, you change the receptors and you start cooking more. You start finding time to cook more. You make more stir fries. You make more healthy foods. Like, it just, for me, things pile down all at once. The bad stuff piles down all at once. The good stuff piles down all at once. Basically, what I choose to do, I go hard body. So, and that's pretty much that. Shouldn't we also talk about the different energy burning systems of how the body uses fats, carbohydrates, proteins? Example, like creatine, phosphate, anaerobic energy system, the anaerobic energy systems, and the aerobic energy. I wanted to get into some exercise with you guys today because one of the things that the doc hadn't gone over was types of exercises that people do. And that doesn't take a huge explanation. Like, all right, let's say, for instance, back before I had a gym membership, when I had the pre-diabetes and the high blood pressure, I used to play Xbox 360 a lot, and one of the video games that my brother had gave to me because they had a double copy of it was the UFC fighting game. And the UFC fighting game, not the one where it's character versus character. This was the training game. So the training game, you needed the camera that comes with the system. The problem is I didn't have the perfect amount of room in the apartment. You needed a 6-foot distance from the camera to the back of the room, up, straight back, and down. The problem is I was about a little under 6 feet in any direction I went, unless I put the TV by the front door, which wouldn't make any sense. And this is years ago. And two things would give me issues with the camera. Push-ups and something called a teep, which was a front kick. It's just a straight thrusting front kick. And what would happen is they would tell you to do a certain amount of them, and if you did not complete it in the time they gave you, they would move on to the next workout, and at the end of that day's workout, they would add a day onto your workout saying you didn't complete it. So, but the funny thing is, if it was like a push-up or a teep, your leg would be burning like hell, so you were getting to work. And if it was push-ups, you was overdoing the push-ups, and you was getting mad because you wanted to beat the game, but you were also exercising, so you didn't want to eat. So that was the crazy thing about it. So it was working, but I could never get the achievement on the game because of space limitations, right? But one of the things I used was the UFC game, and that had like dates that you would work out on, like every other day kind of thing. I had two 10-pound weights and two 40-pound weights, and I used to curl the 40-pound weight all the time. Other than that, I had also the back then it wasn't T25. Later on, I was doing T25 workout and the full body one, and I would do that twice a week. And when I say that the diet was impeccable, you couldn't tell me shit about the diet, but I'm talking about the exercise right now. But I had exercised 5 days a week, and on the other 2 days, it was just abs burnt to hell. Like, I would be playing the game, and I would have a chair where I could do something like dips, right? I could just sit there and I can do like a dip and then pull my knees up and just keep crunching. Like when I'm playing Tekken or Street Fighter, in between the matches, I would just bang out crunches until I couldn't do them no more. And then play the game. And then we'd go to another loading screen, bang out more crunches. And I would do this for 10 to 20 sets a day, almost twice a day, in the morning and later on in the day. I even used to watch a channel called Six Pack Shortcuts, which is where I learned a lot of quick exercises for short time. One of my favorite ones was you would get on your push-up position and you would run with your feet, mountain climbers. You would do mountain climbers. And then you would just hold, you would do that for 30 seconds. And then you would get into a plank position and hold that for 30 seconds right after, nonstop. Then you would turn over and do crunches, and you had to do, how many rounds was that? That was 4 rounds. You had to do 4 rounds of that. And let me see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it was about 6 minutes because each set of 3 was a minute and a half. So minute and a half, and then again, and then again. So yeah, 6 minutes. It was a 6-minute workout. And sometimes I would do that twice a day. But between that, a lot of water, was juicing like crazy. Most of the time when I was eating food, it was raw. Like I would have a spinach salad with sliced apples in it and have some walnuts on top of it. Sometimes I would drizzle a little bit of olive oil on it and just crack pepper on it and put a sprinkle of salt on it. And other than that, if I had fruit, it was berries and bananas that went into the oatmeal. And I kept it almost completely basic like that. And for dinner, it was steamed veggies. So it would be like squash, 2 types of squash. It would be the butternut squash, and then it would be the green squash. Broccoli would be in there, and a few other things would be in there. And then my salads would have the avocado and the red onions and it would be like kale and romaine lettuce, and I would mix that up. But it was an impeccable diet when it came to eating. But with the workout, that's why in a month and a half, my numbers dropped and normalized so fast. I didn't even lower the maximum amount I was eating. I was eating like crazy, but the food was full of water. And that's why I was working so well. And my exercise output was huge. Like, combined time of the day, I probably exercised no more than an hour and 15 minutes a day. It was just so scattered throughout the day. And I dropped off a lot of the big body workouts for 2 days out of the week. But I kept the workout going. There was always, and like Inky said, when I was doing my workouts, forget the reps. You just burnt it. Like when I did, like I said, with the abs, you just burnt it until you couldn't burn it no more. So there was rules that I was following that I had learned early on before I really got into biochemistry like that. I just knew physiology and the way body parts worked. A lot of stuff Dr. Inky was saying, I was doing it naturally because it was just something that I was really into. A lot of my family members had died due to complications of diabetes, so I'd already been looking at the Bible in different areas and stuff to kind of help me out. So yeah, I was going in, and it worked. It definitely worked. I caught it early because, like I said, for me it was pre-diabetes. I was 6.3, not 6.5 yet. So they were saying if I came back in like 3 months and my numbers didn't change, they were going to give me medication. But I felt better because the reason I found this out was because I was going for life insurance. And when you're going for life insurance, black people are already held down by their skin type because people assume like they're going to get sick and die earlier because of where they live at and what they do with their life. So that gets used against you to charge you more. And when they reject you due to your health reasons, they can't tell you what it is. They send you to a doctor, even though they tested you. So I went to a doctor and I'm thinking I got cancer and shit. Like I'm thinking the worst case scenario, stressing myself out. When I found out it was high blood pressure and diabetes, not only did I feel better, I knew I had the capability to do something about it. And when something is as simple as, like, you got to remember, you could put 120 plus years into this life. If you've been getting it in for 20, 40, you're 40, 50 years old and you've just been getting it in with food, I don't think it's asking too much to put a couple of years into your health. And then once you get the information from going through that process, you'll know how to stay away from the things that harm you and just leave those for celebration and whatever, if you even feel like it once you've gone through that whole process anymore. But I think it's worth that because, most people, they heal and they go right back into it again. But the key is to not go back to what got you in there. It's when you're healing, you're learning a new lifestyle. It's not food is going to be bland. Like when I did it, a lot of my food was pretty damn bland. But that was because back then I didn't have a lot of recipes under my belt. But that's a part of the fun. You learn new recipes. It's consistency and flavor. Whether you're eating good or bad food, seasonings are healthy. Seasonings are earthly. So seasonings aren't an issue. We're not talking about those pre-mixed seasonings where they put all this extra stuff in it. I'm talking about just straight have your cabinet full of seasonings. Parsley, basil, thyme, salt, peppers, cinnamon, nutmeg, cayenne pepper, turmeric, garlic, ginger. Just the standard stuff. Like this stuff comes out of the ground. So there's nothing wrong with that, right? That's where your flavor should come from. If I told you to eat all the meats and the bad stuff without the seasoning and the flavor, you wouldn't want it. Imagine eating cheesecake with just the cheese. Don't put any sugars in it. No syrups, no honeys, no nuts, no seeds, no nothing. Just put cheese on the plate and call it cheesecake. You'd be like, this don't make sense. There's nothing in it. You didn't do anything. You just baked some cheese. So we got to understand that the seasoning is still there. And that's what it is. So when you hear bland, that's because y'all think they're talking about just get a salad and just eat lettuce, right? Just eat lettuce, raw tomato, raw onion. Don't put nothing on it. But then some people get the dressing craving. But the dressing craving is really just like Inky said, it's the sugars in the dressing. Because even if you get balsamic vinaigrette or regular oil and vinegar, it's vinegar, it's a sugar ferment. So you're still getting sugar in it. So you're craving the sugar. You're trying to find a way to dip and dodge to find your way back to sugar. And that's that craving. That's that addiction. And in order to stop an addiction, you just have to consistently do something different until it works. You need a couple of weeks in doing something new so that your body can reacclimate and change over to the new structure. You can never say, I'm going to just wait until I'm ready to do it. As long as you keep eating and doing the wrong thing, your body will continue to want to eat and do the wrong thing because it's a memory machine. You're programming it to keep doing the thing you don't want to do. You can't say, eventually I'm going to stop smoking, eventually I'm going to stop drinking, eventually I'm going to stop eating the candy, if when you're saying that, you're still putting it in your system. Your body is building higher tolerance, more craving, and a memory system to keep doing it while you're saying you're going to stop. So if you're going to stop, you have to actually put your hand to the plow. You have to slow work this thing. And don't wait till you're in danger, because then there's no slow working, because that slow working will get you killed because you're in danger. Okay. What else we got here? So workouts, right? Let's say let's talk about those with access to a gym. I'm going to tell you up front right away, stop with I'm just going to do 2 hours on the treadmill shit. That is not going to work for diabetes. You're going to lose some weight. So if you have back problems, you'll drop weight as long as you're not because I'll see people do this. They'll do 2 hours on the treadmill, 1 hour on the treadmill to show off all the calories they burnt. They're sweating like crazy, which is cool. You know, you get your sweat on. But you were just speed walking, or you just had the incline on, and just got a little leg burn. Cool, you did all those things. But then they go home and they continue with the same calories. Now, do they lose weight? Yes. Why? Because the workout, the walking, the running on the treadmill, that was an addition to their life. So they were eating and doing things a certain way. They became a certain weight. They got sick. Now they're adding in the workout. So for that reason alone, by keeping all other factors the same and adding in the workout, you're going to drop weight to a certain extent. The issue is dropping weight and cutting body fat are not the same thing. And a lot of people keep forgetting that. You can be 50% body fat and 300 pounds. If you stay on the treadmill just jogging and slow walking it and you lose a bunch of weight, you can come from 300 down to 150 and still be 50% body fat. So you're 300 pounds and 150 pounds of that is fat, or you've taken yourself down to 150 pounds, where 75 pounds of that is body fat. At the end of the day, you're not cutting the fat, you're just dropping weight. To cut fat, you turn it into muscle. That's how you do it. You do not turn it into muscle if there's no real demand on the body. So you have to put some type of real demand on the body in order for it to work. So if you're going to hit the treadmill, obviously I hope you're talking to your doctor, because remember, what I'm talking to you guys about is informational. It's entertainment, it's information. I'm not the doctor, we can't do that, right? You gotta be the doctor in order to diagnose, treat, and all that stuff, you gotta be a doctor, right? I'm not Dr. Inky. I'm not the doc. I'm just someone who studies a lot of physiology, kinetics, kinesiology, biochemistry, stuff like that. And I'm experienced when it comes to dealing with diabetes. So for that reason, I'm just giving you information because I feel at least it's worth me saying something, right? So I would recommend, if you go by your doctor's recommendation, because they're going to tell you what your heart and what your body can take. For some people, you can't just come out and go in the gym and throw the heaviest weight on there or throw the treadmill on the hardest, fastest speed and just go. But what you do need to do is you need that what we call cardio. And the problem is people think just being on the treadmill, being on the stepper, getting on their bike is automatically the right cardio. So it raises your heart rate, right? But some of you are doing exercises where you don't breathe heavy. You're sweating. You're putting the work in, you're tired, but you're not breathing heavy. And if you're not breathing heavy, that means your heart rate's probably not getting up high enough. Now, when you're on a treadmill, let's say you're in LA Fitness, they got these silver grabbers in front of the treadmill. Now, a lot of people on the treadmill, when they're doing their 2-hour walk and run, they got their hands up on the thing and they got an incline up high and they're just walking that shit out for a long ass time. But you got these grabbers on there and it'll tell you your heart rate at the moment. Now, I always tell people when I'm just giving out, general, information, right? No medical advice, just general information. I tell them beginners want to get their heart rate around 140, intermediates 160, athletic people 180. If your ass got super high blood pressure and you push that thing to 180, you're going to probably stroke out because your body has the pressure up really high because it's trying to remove toxins. And then you're going to introduce a whole bunch of lactic acid on top. That heart rate to give you oxygen in the middle of working out while there's toxins in your system, your shit's going to skyrocket. And the pressure will be so high with high blood pressure, you probably got like real rigid blood vessels. That's just going to burst. So that you got to be careful with that, or you might have a heart attack because something might burst near the heart. So this is why you got to talk to your doctor and find out what your limits of exercise are for where you are in life. Some people might have to start off with brisk walks around the block multiple times and work their way up from there as their numbers come down. But for those of you who are like, you're pre-diabetic, you're working your way up there, your numbers are getting up there, but you're kind of like, you're on edge. You're at that beginning stage where it's like it's time to make a move. You want to be sprinting or running, and you want to go hard. You want to get to the point where you got that, shit. You really, it's real tight breathing. You're not trying to kill yourself, but you got to get yourself to that point where it's like, with the sweat. Because when you're doing that, remember, it's sugars, right? So it's carbohydrate. Your body is dragging the hydration out of the food and leaving the C and the O, the carbon and the oxygen. That's why you take in carbohydrate, take the hydrate out, breathe out carbon dioxide. You keep the C and the O kicking it out. You got to breathe deep to make that happen. So you got to get the heart rate high. Now, Your saving grace does not have to be running hard on a treadmill, running hard outside. But I recommend you put that somewhere in your regimen. So I'll give you guys a couple of regimens that I actually do, right? Yeah, calisthenics are awesome. So here's one set that I do. Tomorrow for me is back day. Maybe I've done it in the past on Instagram, but maybe one of these days I'll go live and leave it up for you guys to see. Chances are if I go live, it'll probably be on Instagram, but I could put it on YouTube if I got proper connection. So back day tomorrow, right? We'll go in the gym. Start off, hop on the treadmill. On the treadmill, we do manual. This is Life Touch's treadmill, right? Not Life Touch, LA Fitness. And for some of you, the name is changing. It's not LA Fitness anymore. It's called Esporta Fitness. That's LA Fitness, but with the new owners. Get on the treadmill. Always set it for 10 minutes because that's the limit. I give it my my weight. What else? No incline. My speed, for my height, I'm 5'10". The speed on mine goes to 4.5. Depending on the type of treadmill you use, that 4.5 could be faster or slower. 4.5 for me is a very difficult, fast walk. It's on 10 minutes, so that first minute is that really brisk, fast walk. That's just to get the body moving, heart rate a little bit high, right? The moment it hits 55 seconds and it's going towards 1 minute, that 4.5 goes straight to 7.0, somewhere between 7.0 and 8.0. And my job is to keep that. It's a difficult jog. It's not a hard one because I don't like to sprint on treadmills. This is me getting ready for the workout. I get on there, get that run going, and I don't stop till I do one of two things. Hit 1 mile or 125 calories. That's just the number that I picked, right? That's what I use. If you weigh a certain amount, you will hit 125 calories before 1 mile. Whichever you get first, before that 10 minutes hit, it's time to step. Let's hop off of it. You jump off right away. Now, from this point, I shoot over to the pull-up area. But I sit my stuff down where I can do some pull-ups at. Some of you can't do pull-ups yet, so what you want is the lat pull down. That's the bar, right, where, like, let me see if I can get the camera right. That's the bar where it's a bar above your head with a cable, and you just pull down to the chest area. It's like a pull-up, but without your legs, but you're using a heavy bar, right? It's not a heavy bar. You got to set the weight so that the bar has some good pull on it. But you would use that instead. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to find a bar with weight on it. The weight of choice is up to you. Whatever you can perfectly press well over your head for about 4 sets, and it burns a bit, but it ain't gonna be so heavy that you get to like 4 reps and then it's just too heavy, you gotta throw it down. It should be solid. Like for me, that number is between 60 and 90 pounds, depending on what I'm doing that day. I like to choose the 70-pound weight. So what I do is I start off, I get on a pull-up bar and I pull up wide grip. I pull up and I squeeze for 20 seconds. I have to pull as high as I can, hold it up there for 20 seconds, count it out. Regular seconds, no fast counting. Once I'm done that, I drop down, I squat, I do like a squat, and I pick up my 70-pound bar, and I do what I would do if I was deadlifting. But except when I deadlift up, I press and press up over my head. So it's like a clean and press, right? So you do that 10 times. Once you're done that, if you're a beginner, you should wait up to a minute to rest, and then now it's time to do a pull-up set. So you do a pull-up set, as many as you can do, and you go right back to that bar and you press again. And you do this for 4 sets, okay? Once you're done that, you have already burned over 400 calories. Because that's after getting off the treadmill, you hit 125 or maybe a little more. When you do this first exercise, it's going to burn over 300. And the heavier you are, the more it's going to burn. Because it's going to have them presses after that pull-up will have your ass breathing. So that's a given. All right? So we do 4 sets of that. Now, this is where the back workout can split apart a bit, but I'm gonna give you guys the quicker one. There is a machine inside the gym where we call it the triple back machine because it has a motorcycle grip, a side bike, like a banana bike handle grip, and then it's an underhand grip at the bottom. It's 3 grips and it covers the whole, like the traps up top all the way down to the lower lats and mid back. And what we do is we set it for a moderate weight, which on that machine would be 85 or 100 pounds. And you got to pull the top grip 10, the side grip 10, and the underhand grip 10, and then stand up. And for each rep you did, you have to do a jumping jack. So you're doing 30-30. Pull 10 this way, pull 10 inside, pull 10 underhand grip, and then immediately do 30 jumping jacks and jump right back on and do it again. You're going to do this for 3 sets. At this point, you're over 600 calories burned. Now, after that, we still want to hit a little more mid-back, so we go over to the row machine, and we grab the bar and we row a decent heavy weight. We want some fairly heavy weight on this. We want to start to tire out between 12 and 15. We want it to burn and tire out, so we want it pretty heavy. And you're going to hit 4 sets of that, and that exercise stands by itself. It's not a superset. After that, we're going to go over to the cable, and we're going to put a long bar on the cable, and that's where we arch our lower back and we pull the cable down to our waist. I can't describe that one for you guys here, but that's the lower lat and back workout. It's not the low back, but it's the lower lat portion of the back. That's the last one that we do for that. Then you can do deadlifts to hit the lower back. And after deadlifts, you hit your abs, and that's the whole back day. By the time all of those are done, if you do them nonstop, your whole workout will be done in 35 minutes. Most people on average finish between 45 minutes and an hour, because when they're transitioning exercises, they kind of lazy out a little bit because some of this stuff really burns them out. But when I told you guys about the pull up and the clean and press, those kinds of superset multi body part workouts will raise your heart rate very fast and get you breathing deep, and the weight is moderately heavy. So if you keep doing it and raising the weight as you go by month to month, you're building a lot of muscle. So now you're burning the sugar out of your system, you're cutting the body up, you're switching the fat into muscle regardless of what weight you are, and now you're dropping the sugar heavily out of your system. And as long as you're not blowing it with your diet, you will recover. Okay? This is what I had to do, because like I said, my diet was there. And whenever you're eating as much lean food as I am, best believe abs came quick. It came quick. That was not an issue. Everything was cutting up. So that's just a general idea of what you want to do when you work out. You need to be planning to build muscle. You have to be exerting high energy on the body for whatever you're allowed to do from your doctor. If you're real heavy, something as simple as sitting down in a chair and getting up multiple times will have you breathing so damn heavy. So you got to get in where you fit in. So this is where you need help. You can use a physical therapist, a personal trainer, and you just keep your doctor nearby, like Dr. Inky said, because if you're one of those people on medication, you can't go that hard without your doctor and some testing materials being by, because you'll crash. Your sugars will be flying up and down like crazy. You'll be going in and out of comas and seizures, and so you gotta taper and tailor things correctly. So having a personal trainer really helps, and having your doctor next to you really helps, because they can help shift and modify things to put it at a comfortable point. So it's a teamwork thing, and that's what you want to be doing, right? Yeah, that's good back workout, yo. We be done on that back workout. But remember, Dr. Inky says something very important that you guys should know. No matter what exercise you do, he was right. If there's sugars sitting in that part of the body, and you, let's say you're doing squats, and you know how you do your squats and it start burning, and it really kicks your heart rate up and makes you mad and you want to stop. This is burning too much. You have to keep going until it shakes to the point where you damn near can't, I ain't gonna say damn near, where it shakes to the point where you can't stand up from the squat anymore, where you just got to take a sit down. When you have gone to exhaustion on a muscle like that, any sugar sitting in the bloodstream in that area has been burned out. Does that mean you've burned out all the sugar in your body completely? No, because you still have fat cells that hold it. That's a part of the reason why your sugar's high in the first place. You got it in the bloodstream, and you got it retained in a lot of fat cells. So when you burn up all the sugar, your body has to then start doing a breakdown of fat cell process. Because remember, your body's like, okay, you're working out, but your body has a circadian rhythm. It knows the energy you need for different things you do throughout the day, and it's trying to learn what your regimen is and be prepared to receive or do things at certain times in the day. So if you've never worked out in a long time and your body's used to you waking up, sitting up watching TV, go take a shower, hop in the car, get some brain work going, eat food at a certain time, come home, watch TV, have something to drink, eat again, and go to sleep. Your body, if you've been doing that long enough, it has a memory system to have, when you go to sleep, to have energy prepared to do that. When you start working out, that's a shock to the system when you work out that hard. Not only will you start to feel nauseous to an extent if you're not hydrated properly, you might be sore for, damn near 2 weeks after your first workout, if it's a good one. You might be sore for a while. Your cravings are going to go way up on your food. But at the same time, your body is going to have a strong stress response because it's like, wait a minute, you just did all that work and I prepped the body with a certain amount of knowledge to know that this is what's going to be needed throughout the day, and you just did something totally different that requires way more energy. So now the body's taking that as pressure and memory. So now when you go to sleep, your body is trying to search for what you've been doing with your diet because it's like it just tore a lot of stuff up and I need nutrients and all kinds of stuff to build it up. Now, if your eating's bad, your body's going to have to tear down your bone for two things. Number one, when you start digesting, it's going to have to tear down your bone to get mineral to buffer the acid you put in your system. The second thing is because you put nothing nutritious in your system, when you go to sleep, it's going to shed bone again so that it can use it to rebuild muscle and cell structure. But that means that your bone is eroding over time. So you're getting more muscular, but you're eroding your bone, which means when you get older, eventually that's going to come to a head. And now your bones are brittle, but you got big muscles. That's your Ronnie Coleman type thing, right? So you got to be careful with that. You want to always match up the diet to the workout. Because when the diet is there, when your body's like, damn, that was a lot of pressure. They done tore down muscle here, here. We got to fix all this up. So you go into now you're more tired when it's time to go to sleep because your body like, we need you to knock out. We got to get this together. So you pass out. You having a good dream. You calm the whole day because you ain't going to argue with nobody. You done burnt out all your energy. So you're calm. You go to sleep because you're tired. You've eaten good food. Your body's like, I need you to look at all that stuff they ate. I need you to gather all the minerals and we need to start tearing out all that old and I need you to rebuild them up stronger and prepare because they might do this again tomorrow. So now as time goes on, the reserves of energy and what your body's prepared to do is going to change. So now when you work out in the middle of the day, your body starts to send signals of energy to you at a certain time because it's like you about to get in that gym. And when you drive to the gym and see it, your body kicks in an energy response. And when you walk in the gym and the smell of the gym comes in, another response. If you got friends you work out with and they keep you happy and hype, another response. Your heart and your energy, your whole magnetic field is starting to acclimate to what you're doing. So now because you're changing your habit, your body is changing its response. So your body is saying, if this is what you want, I'm going to help you out. But if you show your body you don't really want it, it's going to help that out too. So if you say, I got diabetes, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, your body's like, well, I really would like for them to put good food in and stop these problems because it's starting to harm us. But the rhythm of your body says this is what they want. So, all right, give them the signal to want junk. Give them the signal to want to sit down and do nothing and watch TV because their favorite show is on. Your body's sending you signals. You are the master. You're sending the signal. Your body's responding. The problem is when the responses hurt the body enough, there's a kickback response that happens. Not because your body wants to, because God set the motions of the world in order so that when something happens over here, a natural counter happens over here. So you keep eating the bad stuff, doing the wrong stuff. Guess what happens eventually? Pain signal pops up. Out of nowhere, you get a pain somewhere. Because that's the warning that whatever you've been doing, it can no longer continue to work. Now it's breaking something. Okay? Let me check the chat because I'm giving you guys some stuff and I don't want to miss what you're saying. Deadlifts after a back workout must be a moderate weight. Depends. If you have not worked, like a lot of people know that deadlifts go well on leg day. But if you ever look at a chart of the order you do workouts in, you kind of stack upward and big to small. So you're supposed to start off with legs, right? So some people will you're supposed to hit your quads, quadriceps, hamstrings, calves, toes kind of go hand in hand with that, then lower back. So you can hit the lower back at the end of leg day or during at some point, to go along with your glutes, or you can hit it at the beginning or end of back day. Because here's the thing, you're talking about legs down here, back up here, lower back in the middle. If you work your back from the top, from lats, and then from the top down, there's a section missing between the upper part of the glutes and the lower part of the lats. The lower part of the lats is not necessarily your lower back. So when you're done, it feels like you're propped up, right? Like you got that suit of armor on, but it feels like it's cut off right in between your glutes. It's like an empty space between your glutes and your lower lats. Deadlift fills that space. So you can do that deadlift literally at the end of leg day or at the beginning of back day. You can even do it at the end of back day because you're traveling downwards. The recommended time to do it, because lower back is such a big deal, is at some point on leg day or at the beginning of back day. Just hit it along with abs because you want to do that whole core wraparound. The lower back, the sides, the abdominals, the serratus, which is right in here for people who know how to throw punches a lot. You'll get some serratus like up in here. And your abs, they go hand in hand with back. So when you're doing that back area and that lower back area, you want to wrap that whole thing around. So warming up the abs in the beginning with a run, with some leg raises or something like that is a good idea, because when the core is engaged, all other exercises become easier. So to send blood into that core is a good thing. Lower back, abdominals, and lower back, abdominals, and right on the hip area, all of that is the package of the core. So you want to have that whole thing ready. So you need that deadlift at some point. The thing is, a deadlift done right, now I'm correcting a little bit here. A deadlift done right, meaning on the heels, not on your toes, will force a lot of quad work and glute work into the workout. At that point, when you're doing it competitive and you got that proper form, you should put it on leg day. Because when you put it on leg day, you're going to need your quads to be able to do it. And if you burn out your quads, you're not going to be able to lock out the deadlift correctly to really get that work unless you have really light weight. And we don't want really lightweight. It's like you said, we want that moderate to heavy, right? Like my natural deadlift weight, like cold, is 405. But I can do a lot of reps going up to 405. At 405, I can probably get anywhere from 3 to 5 out. That's really pushing it too, like breathing heavy, proper form, everything. Below that, I'll give you 10 on almost anything. 365, 315. You can get 10s and 20s all up and down it. So I'm definitely max 405. Above 405, my grip becomes an issue. So I need chalk gloves or something like that. I don't use straps, nothing like that. Nothing crazy. I like to keep my workouts as natural as possible. I don't use belts. That's for unnatural things like super high deadlift, super high squat weight. But if I can lift it and it's light, I can lift it. Tweaking the wrong way, lifting shopping bags will give you the same types of tears and breaks you can get lifting heavyweight. It's all in the form. So natural forms are better. So it's best that we get our calisthenics, our hormesis training and stuff like that out the way versus a bunch of isolated stuff. We want compound movements as much as possible because that's how the body works. Instead of training, twisting your hips and then rocking left and right and then doing deadlifts, do a cartwheel. You see what I mean? Put more body parts into it, but don't snap the cartwheel. Just do a general cartwheel. Don't snap it until your body's used to that type of stretch motion. This is why gymnastics people don't get injured as easy, because when you slip off steps, even if you're really like a bodybuilder, slipping off steps and having sudden movements can tear things because you're not training for sudden movements. You're just training for raw power and ability to maneuver. Gymnastics is trained for snappy movements. So they roll their ankle a certain way and their balance and their fast twitch muscles kick in quick. They slip on ice and roll into a cartwheel position. A bodybuilder ain't gonna take that too well. Somebody in gymnastics, if their hip twists and leans one way real fast, they already do that. So their chance of injury is way lower. And I was into gymnastics when I was younger. So my calisthenics workouts involve things like roundhouse kicking, jump kicks, jumps, running side straddle hops and things like that. Like as many incorporated motions as possible for living purposes, not necessarily to be the highest bench presser and all that stuff. So cartwheel, baby. Yup. Thanks, Black Voltron. Always remember, support Urban Nerds Worldwide, because as much as I'm nerding out on this information, we're trying to get our children acclimated to this kind of information too, to the point where you guys would have to be around when I'm talking to them, but I talk about these things in a way where I have to give them superhero-like thought, stories, and how cool things can be. It can't be generic. It can't be learn math because don't you want to know how to count your change from the store. We get it, but at the same time, children don't look at that as powerful. Like they need a little bit of fantasy in their head. So Urban Nerds is about that life. So yeah, very precise. Yeah, deadlifts on leg day, first exercise, uses so many muscle groups, so much energy. A lot of people I know, they like to do squats first. I'm a deadlift fan over squats. You'd be amazed. Y'all see me do workouts. It is rare I do squats. Why? Because I jump a lot. I like to jump, and jumping requires far more muscle groups. It's not linear. Squat is linear. It's up and down, facing straight. Nobody squats with a twist. Like they don't do that. So I jump a lot, and the reason that I jump a lot, and the fact that my height, like right now, I have issues dunking because I weigh more than I did when I used to do it all the time. I weighed between 175 and 185. Now I weigh 205. So trying to dunk now, like grabbing rims, easy. Trying to dunk, my timing is off. And I'm not getting up as high because I'm carrying extra weight. I would say, where's my hand at? Right here. I get this much above the rim. That's not really enough for a clean dunk. That's enough to just throw the ball towards the rim. But at the peak, I had this much above the rim. So I gotta get I gotta bring my weight down some. It's coming in because my old head at the gym wanted us to get to he wanted us by April. He wanted us to be a little chiseled. So I was like, yeah, I'm in the game. So this whole week I've been doing fairly good. Not perfect, but I've been doing pretty good. Like I'm watching the definition come in. So I'm at a good number. And then when it's about 2 weeks later, I'm gonna probably trim hard. Like I'm just go hard body on the diet and everything for those last 2 weeks, and then just see where I'm at. Go from there. Thanks, Beauty Supply. Good looking. Google Me is in the building. How do I feel about slow rep calisthenics? Slow down the reps when the weight gets really light. And that has a fault too, because the weight too light, you're just gonna feel like it's ridiculously pointless. Like 5 pounds ultra slow, it's gonna take a minute to get a burn. If you're going slow, you want to find a weight on the heavy. So the rule of thumb was find out the weight you can only move one time in a rep, cut it by 20%. So if you bench press 200 pounds, your heavy weight is 160. That's 20% off, which is 20 pounds off of every 100, right? So would be your 160 would be your heavy weight to be pressing to build yourself up. So but yes, all of my motions that I tell people when I first work out with them, it's whatever the exertion is, you exert force fast, relax slow. So if I'm curling, right? Curling this TV remote. Let me see the weight. If I'm curling it, exert fast, come down slow. And when I come down, I want my arm almost straight, not perfectly straight. You don't want to put all that right on the joint. So you keep a little bend, even with pull-ups. Don't pull up until your arm's on an L, right? You should not be banging out pull-ups till L. You should be banging out pull-ups till your arm's nearly straight. Not completely straight because you want to keep the tension. I've seen too many people do pull-ups and they're doing those short-range pull-ups, talking about I can do like 30 in a minute. No. We want to pull up fast and come down till the arm is almost straight. Leave a slight bend in the arm just to keep the lock so that your muscles are working for you, okay? That's what you want to do. But yes, come up fast, come down slow. We do that for bench. We do that for curls. We do that for nearly everything. You know the one area where you can cheat on the pull and use the rest of your body? A lot of back exercises, especially a row. Or if you got like a bar in the corner on the ground and you're doing the thing where you got the V bar and you're pulling the weight towards your chest, that's you can use your body to pull the weight in as close as you possibly can, but you got to try and, when you get it close to your body, you want to try and hold it for a split second and come down slow. The key with back exercises is to pull. The pull means it's back. But if you pull in slow, you're doing a lot of bicep. You're not doing a lot of back. Back is when you get the weight close. Hold, between the hold and coming down slow is where your back starts to rip up. So for those of you who never knew that, it's not about fast pulling and pushing. It's no. Pull in fast. Shoot, use your body. Yank that motherfucker in if you're trying to lift. Now you're at the heavy point. That's what I'm talking about, the people at the heavy point. If it's really heavy weight that you cannot get close to your body, you use your body to pull the weight in close, try and get a hold. It's only going to be a very split second, and let the weight down slow. As you're letting it down slow, your back is ripping up. That's how you do it with heavy weight. Now, if the weight's not very heavy, then you want to pull in fast to the chest, come back slow. But you never want ultra lightweight. You want it light enough to burn, and you can get, quite a few reps after the burn to the point of failure. You don't want it to be so heavy that you get no burn, and then you stop because the weight's too heavy and you did too many reps. That's too heavy. So it's a sweet spot in the middle. Eccentric negative. Yeah, yes. But remember, what I told you about back does not apply to everything. For instance, chest exercises get it on the stretch. The push point from the stretch is where chest works out. Otherwise, It's a push exercise, so your triceps are going to get most of the work. So when you do a push-up, when you're drawing back, once you hit a certain point and draw back further, that's the chest stretch. Pushing from that low point gives the chest work. When that hand gets further away from the body, it tends to be less chest until your tricep tires out. When the tricep tires out, the chest starts to get more work. So keep that in mind for the chest. Yes, sir. He'll bring it back. But yes, that's the gist of that. So, summary. The diabetes, the sugars, the processed sugars, the unnatural foods are crystals. Crystals in the body have to be liquefied. If you don't let me clarify now. This does not mean eat unhealthy food and chase it with chunks of water. That's a good idea, but that's not a good thing to be doing. Because putting the sugar in the first place is a toxin. A processed sugar induces a problem right away. Because the water is not going to be a perfect science. It's like, unless you learn it, like somehow you learn to bind like bad crystallized sugar with the proper amount of water. The problem is it's not complex sugar. So it's going to absorb into the bloodstream fast and give you that spike. And that's what you don't want. So thinking that you could just eat whatever sugary substance you want just because you chase it with a lot of water, nah, that's not how that works. The earth creates the perfect affinity between mineral, water, fiber. Processed stuff, you could chase it with more water than the processed sugar, but the mineral ain't there. You see what I mean? And if you're going to get water with mineral, why are you trying to infuse something bad with something good with water? Like, let's not even do that. Let's not get too sciencey. If you want to, that's your lane. Go ahead and play chemistry all you want and find out how to get a healthy reaction out of unhealthy food. Feel free. That's what humans do. They're trying to figure that thing out, right? But at the end of the day, the fruit, the way it comes out of the ground, the veggies, the way they come out the ground, have the proper water, fiber, mineral inside of it. So when it goes in your body, it can build it up and eliminate correctly. It's already got everything it needs in it. So that's what you need to understand about that. But in diabetes, you're getting sugar crystals in your body, and water have to liquefy those crystals. Chances are you don't drink enough water, so what happens is the crystals pull the water out of you. It starts drying things out, and when it dries things out, they get rigid. And rigid things burst and tear easy, and they don't repair quick because water is necessary. That's all of your symptoms in a nutshell. Where does the peeing come from? Because now you're taking the bad food with sugar in it with the water, and your body is hyper peeing out all of the bad stuff you just put in. So you don't stop the pee. The medication's job is to literally stop the problem that's coming from what you're doing. When you have high blood pressure, the heart is working too hard for too long. So they give you medication to take pressure off of the heart working hard, not to stop the problem that's causing it to do that. You have to do that so that your body can heal itself. When you take diabetes medication, the insulin issue, insulin's job is to create a signal. When sugar comes in, because sugar can be damaging, your body needs a hormone or a signal to say sugar, which is energy, is here to be burned. Insulin is injected into the blood cell so that things in the body know, hey, there's sugar available, time to burn it up. Insulin being available tells the body that. It does not mean insulin is necessary to burn the sugar. I'm saying that direct for a reason. You do not need insulin to burn the sugar. The problem is the sugar is just there. And when it's available, the body needs a signal to know it's there to burn. Insulin comes in to give the signal to burn it up. When there's sugar every damn where because you've been eating too much, you don't need a signal. The body will know the moment it opens up, like, where's the, oh shit, it's energy everywhere. It's going to draw it in. That's where resistance comes from. Insulin resistance means, hey, it's sugar, use it. Okay, they didn't use it. You send more in. Hey, there's more sugar, use it. You still don't use it. Yo, man, it's sugar. You gonna use this shit or what? You don't use it. The body's like, fuck the insulin. The insulin signal is already there. It's tons of sugar, tons of insulin everywhere. And now your body's like, don't even bother. Like, we don't need a signal. It's everywhere. Hence resistance. It's like, hey, it's insulin there, and your body's not using it to draw the sugar into the cell, because your body's like, why? I didn't get a nigga a million one warnings that it's enough sugar there. I'm putting the insulin signals in there to let them know they're still not drawing it in. Why do I need to be tell them like, oh, we're resisting the insulin? That's what you're doing. You're resisting it because there's a signal saying to draw it in, and you're not doing anything to empty the cell out so it can draw it in. I used to give this example. Your blood vessels are the highway. The sugar is the people trying to go to the parties inside the cells. So the highways, which are the blood vessels, connect to all the cells. When you reach the cell, you know, when there's a bunch of people everywhere in your body, all along the highway, each cell in your body, there's trillions of them, would be considered the club. And the sugar is the people trying to get in the club. The escort to get them in the club is the insulin. So basically, if insulin is out in the bloodstream, the clubs is like, yo, it's mad people outside trying to get in the club. And your sugar pairs up with the insulin and they ready to go in the club. But your ass eats so much sugar that the clubs is full. And the club people need to start dancing, meaning you need to start moving and exercising so that those people can tire out in the club and leave so that the new people can come in. But you don't do that. So they stay in the club, they just wall hugging it. They not dancing in the club. They just in there. Insulin and the sugar are just partnered up and they in there and they not doing nothing. So guess what? They gonna turn into fat cells and just hang out. And then you gonna get bigger because you got people trying to get in the club everywhere. So you got people everywhere waiting for them clubs to start popping. When they finally start popping because you start exercising, they start getting released from the clubs because they're too tired now. They're tired. The sugar's been burned up. So now the sugar in the bloodstream can start coming in. The insulin starts to escort them in, so the insulin levels in the blood go down and so do the sugar. So guess what? If you enter more sugar in, there's more room for sugar, more room for insulin. They can start pairing up and working together again. But when they pair up and ain't nobody to let them in the club, it's resistance. I'm rejecting my partner. Yo, we can't get in no club. We just gonna all float out in the bloodstream, driving around on the highways, waiting to get in a club, and we can't. So what does a doctor do? They give you insulin medication. They force more insulin into the system when you already have resistance. So now with all that insulin, all the people in the club start pairing up and they start jamming themselves into the cells, into the club. So guess what the cells do? Yo, we're going to create more space in the body to just hold y'all until it's your turn to dance. That's you getting fatter. Okay? So that's the analogy I used to use. So the bloodstream where the sugar is sitting, they sitting inside the highways, drying out all the water, drying out the highway. They just sitting in there. All these clubs around is waiting for them to come in, but the clubs are full because there's sugar in the cells, there's sugar in the bloodstream. There's so much in there, there's so many people in the highways, they drying the body out. If they dry it out in the eye, you can't see no more. If they dry it out on the lips, then your lips gonna be crusty as hell. They dry it out on the skin, you're gonna have dry skin. They dry it out in the hair, your hair gonna dry out and that's gonna fall out and you're gonna have dandruff and stuff everywhere. If you start throwing a lot of water into the body while those people are in the club, then your body takes the exit ramp and it starts peeing all the people out. All the people in the club on the highway, it just start dumping their ass into the river. So it gets them out the body by peeing them out. But it doesn't mean anything if you keep putting more sugar back in on top of it. So anytime, if your body's peeing a lot and you're constantly hiking your insulin levels up, eventually you can't go to the bathroom faster than the stuff is coming in damaging you. Now your whole life is just going to the bathroom every 10 minutes. So now you got to see the doctor because you can't go to work, you can't do nothing because you can't stop going to the bathroom. So the doctor gives you medication, insulin, to stop you from going to the bathroom a lot. But now you're just holding a lot of the issues. And if you're holding those club people, if you're holding them, you're gaining weight. That's why Inky said you start gaining weight because of all the extra insulin they're giving you. You're gaining weight because the people in the club ain't burning up. So the clubs are building themselves up to make more room for people to just stand around. You see what I mean? And that's what's going on. So you get the moving. You moving and exercising is equivalent to those blood sugars being led into the clubs that we call cells. And when you're moving, they're moving. They burning their energy up. You're burning your energy up. As above, so below. When you move, the things in your body move. When you're burning, your legs burning from the workout, the inside is flaming up. It's cooking. It's lactic acid. Everything in that body is burning things up, which means it's creating room for something better or worse to come in, depending on what you decide to do with your diet. You put good stuff in. If you have a lack of sugar, they tell you about the beta cells for insulin. The alpha cells are called glucagon. Yo, I'm tired because I don't have carbs in my body. You know, the video game analogy we was talking about earlier. So your body secretes another hormone called glucagon. Glucagon signals your body to tear open fat cells in your liver cells to let the sugar in your fat cells, the one that's making you look big, glucagon gets excreted into the bloodstream, telling your body to let loose more sugar into the system. When you start burning all of that out of the fat cells, the fat on your body goes down and you start to chisel up. Now, body fat percentage is being reduced and you're starting to look like you're muscular because you're putting in that work, right? And that's pretty much that, guys. That's the game in a nutshell. I know we're not at 2 hours. I don't want to go above 2 hours. We're at 6:21. I think I started at 4:45. So at this point, if you guys have any questions, you want me to clarify something, feel free to ask it now. Related to exercise, related to diabetes, things related to diabetes. How would I handle it if I were you? That kind of thing, right? Because like I said, I'm just telling the story, giving the information. Everything I'm telling you guys is real easy to verify. Even on Dr. Inky's 11-hour lecture, as you go through it, he put all the studies up. And a lot of the stuff he mentioned, I was glad, because in the past, a lot of the stuff he was saying I had mentioned before, especially the part about peeing a lot. Your body's peeing a lot because it's trying to eliminate the excess sugar so that it doesn't harm you on the inside. So when the food digests and that sugar goes into your bloodstream through the portal vein inside of your gut tract, once it reaches that bloodstream, your body is like, that stress signal is sending insulin in that's saying there's energy here to burn up. And if it's too much already in there, all that water come collecting, grab them crystals, liquefy them, push it right down into the bladder, make you have to go to the bathroom. How about those? Here go a new extra one for you guys. Know why you got to go to the bathroom real bad? We're not talking about when you hold it too long. That's normal. We're talking about when you ain't even held it that long. You get that inkling you got to go to the bathroom and immediately you got to go right away. That's your colon. What happens is when you pack your gut with a lot of bad stuff, you can get something called mucoid plaque. It starts to line your gut. And what happens is you got a lot of leftover stuff still sitting in your gut, and it pressures your gut lining down. When it does that, some of the leakage goes towards the prostate and the ureters that make you pee. When that starts to get pressure on it, your prostate is inflamed. And what happens is it quickly fills up and it can't stretch anymore. So it puts pressure downward for you to have to go to the bathroom faster. So what that is you need to clean up the gut. You need to start cleaning that out, because trust me, when you start emptying your bowels out and you tighten everything up, your ability to to go to the bathroom gets better. And you know, that's where herbs that help out that whole situation, like saw palmetto and things like that, come in. So that's where you start breaking out the herbs and helping it out. Because what herbs do is herbs are a frequency like anything else. Frequencies have different sizes and shapes and rhythms. And those sizes, shapes, and rhythms are a shape, just like a protein. And the shape of it determines what it affects in the body. So you're telling your body you want to be able to breathe deeper. So you take a herb that dilates blood vessels in the lung. So what it does is you're saying, for this moment, I want to breathe deeper. So the herb will send an energy, a frequency through that will have a certain amount of power for a certain amount of time, which will cause your blood vessels to dilate and help you. I want my blood flow to flow faster. So you might send the energy into your body that makes your blood vessels dilate and your pressure go up. Those herbs are usually heating and warming. So it loosens the proteins in your body up so things can move faster. And if it makes your blood vessel dilate, meaning it has nitric oxide attached to it, that'll make your blood flow through faster. Hence, if you got a lot of bad stuff in your bloodstream, it's going to make you pee and go to the bathroom faster and speed up removing toxins. That's why some of the stuff, like if it's real hot, it'll make you sweat. It's trying to move things faster. But if you have an inflammatory issue, you might not want to flame yourself up with so much. So there's, you got to balance that thing out. That's why you need experts with herbs to start fooling with them. Is diabetes and arthritis related at all? If so, in what ways? I give you an easy one. Let's say you don't put a lot of water in your body, and a part of your issue for getting diabetes is eating meat. You're going to catch, there's an arthritis called gout arthritis. That's uric acid crystals embedding themselves into your joints. How does that happen? When you eat a lot of nitrogen-based foods and there's not enough exercise or no exercise behind it, the nitrogen does not couple with oxygen to make nitric oxide, which creates an explosion or an activation. It couples with water, which turns it into ammonia. And ammonia, without a lot of water in the body, if ammonia keeps flowing through, then eventually the ammonia becomes dry in certain areas because it's really backed up, which means it's not flowing fast. When the liquid in the body gets real heavy and it doesn't flow fast, remember, anything you're moving in and out of your body goes through the blood vessels and the channels and capillaries and stuff. So all of that liquid, blood, all that stuff passes through your joints. If there's very little water and a lot of mineral including some of the toxins and acids and stuff from the food you're eating passing through your body, that gets turned into urine and it's trying to get out of your body. And as it's trying to get out, too much of the liquid passing through one area starts to cause that area to fill up with that liquid. So your joints start to fill up with uric acid, and some of it crystallizes because there's not enough liquid in the body to keep it moving fast enough. So some crystallizes. When it crystallizes in the joint, they call it gout. So you get pain in the joint because there's no liquid, there's no free flowing motion. If a lot of your food, including if you're eating a lot of toxic food that's sweet, you cannot be replacing minerals, which means you're going to shed bone. And if you're shedding bone, I showed people this before. Let me see if I can give you guys an example. Man, I guess I would need like a pen and a piece of paper. Hold on, I think I got something here. I want to show you something. Let's use this envelope, right? I'm going to show you a diagram, right? With a pattern on it. Let me see. Y'all see that pattern? Now, your bones perform like a cross hatching. Your bone is crystal, but crystal has rigid edges, like sharp, straight, like diamonds and crystals, right? That's how it looks. And it has a cross hatching pattern, right? What happens is when you get a lot of mineral and you do proper exercise, putting pressure on bone, this starts to happen. So look at the pattern now. That cross-hatching pattern starts to get more dense. And this turns into stronger bone. When that cross-hatching gets real strong, and let's say you keep tapping on a wall over years, eventually this cross-hatching gets so strong, it won't break if you punch a wall. So that's what you're doing when you're building up with mineral. Now, when you eat toxic food, your body has to buffer the acid, because remember, your pH must remain correct. Your body will pull alkaline minerals out of your bone to buffer the acid so the acid doesn't tear down your body's internal structure. If you keep pulling from your bone, you're removing the cross-hatching. Eventually, if you're trying to hold up, if a house normally has, like you get that V-vaulted house, right? If you got like 32 slats on that house on both sides and then you cross-hatch it with 32, that's a lot of slats and shingles to hold that roof up. What if I start pulling the shingles, eroding the shingles away? Eventually, it's going to be brittle and thin. A nice little pile of water from rain will push that roof right in. That's what happens to your bone when it keeps eroding itself because you're not giving it enough mineral. Eventually, we call that osteoarthritis. Our bones are shedding so much that they become really thin and hollow. It's hollow to the point where it's inflamed. It's just not enough there to hold up your body structure really anymore. So you're aging. That's another form of arthritis. That's osteoarthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is different. That's when the waste gets into your muscles. So when I said the gout gets in the joints, that's uric acid crystals in the joints. And osteoarthritis is when you shed bone too much. If the waste somehow pushes itself into your muscles, they call that rheumatism. And if the rheumatism becomes an arthritis, it's rheumatoid arthritis, which means now you got pain in the muscle. You got waste in the muscles, and whatever's in the muscles that's waste, your white blood cells will chase it down because now it's getting in areas it shouldn't be. If it sits there too long, the white blood cells get happy being out of order. So it's like, oh, if waste is in my own body's muscle, the white blood cells are not attacking you. They're eating the part of you that's damaged by the waste inside of you because their job is to eat. Remember, like Inky said, they're the trash collectors. So where there's waste, white blood cells get in and eat it. If there's waste in your muscle, it's going to eat your muscle. And when your white blood cells get acclimated to eating parts of you, meaning when the waste goes away, it's still eating you, that's autoimmune disease. So if it's in the muscle, it's rheumatoid arthritis, inflammation of the muscles and the joints due to rheumatism. Okay, and the arthritis is the inflammation caused. So eventually from the muscle, you'll get inflammation in the joints, and the inflammation in the joints from the stuff being eroded away at will cause pain from the inflammation. You'll try and accommodate the pain by moving the fingers and the joints around, and eventually the area, the ability to move them will get eaten away at, and you'll be stuck in a certain position. So the rheumatism starts to twist you and turn you over time. So that's what happens with the three. Those are the three primary types. Gout, osteo, rheumatoid. Those are your arthritises, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if that's good. Anybody else? I'll take one or two more, and then I'll rock out from here, because I've done enough work for the day. I want to play some video games. What video game? Where my like we was talking about earlier, we was talking about video gaming. Dying Light. We're gonna rock some more Dying Light tonight. And I know a lot of people are playing Elden Ring. Yo, peoples, look at how much, I think I mentioned this in another live stream. Look, we got Dying Light. Look at all the zombification, right? I showed you guys Dying Light. Look, Back for Blood, right? There's even a new series on Netflix called I think it's We Are All Dead or something. It's a Korean joint. That's a zombie joint. Look, got another one for you. Resident Evil Village. So they just prepping us. All right, we got another question. 18 to 6 intermittent fasting. What do you mean by 18 to 6? Are you talking about 18 hours, 6 days a week or something like that? Because intermittent fasting is good because you give your body a chance to not be dealing with your gut. And anytime you're taking a break away from the gut, the energy your body would have been using for the meals that you had planned, it can now divert the energy to anything that needs to be cleaned or fixed up. And sometimes it's cleaning things up because it notices that you're going to do something later on in the day that requires energy, and it's wondering why you're not eating. So what it's going to do is it's going to break open the fat cells to grab energy out of the fat cells. So you start to break down that fat inside of your body because of your fasting. And that's what causes the healing, because you're getting rid of the fat cells. And if you weigh too much, definitely getting rid of the weight will cause your lower back pain to start to go away, as long as you don't have any herniated discs or anything. 18 hours fasting, 6 hours. That's actually close to what I do. I tend to stop eating around 7 o'clock at night, and I don't eat again till about 2 the next day. Is that 18? I think that's close. So if I stop eating at 7 in the morning is 12 hours. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So 12 plus 7, 19. So yeah, I'm about at that number. Not eating 6 hours eating window. Yeah, that's about me. I'm eating from about 2 to 7 o'clock. And sometimes it's one meal, sometimes it's two. I have been like stupid binge days where I'm like packing too many calories into 2 meals. Like, I remember I had times in the past where it'd be like, yo, I'm about to give me a hoagie with some chips, a hero or a sandwich for some people. A hoagie is just like, lettuce, tomatoes, lunch meat, all that stuff. Back in the day, it would be like, let me get a hoagie, chips, something sweet to go with it, a smoothie to go with that. And then after I ate all that, about an hour later, I'm playing a game and I chase it with a bowl of cereal. So like just calorie binge. And then that might be all I've eaten for the day, but I've been topped the calorie count for the day in damn near 2 sittings. So you got to be careful with that. So if you're going to do the 6 hour window, you want the food, you want to either have one meal, because what happens is, depending on how heavy your food is, you won't have enough time to do a full digestion. So you might want to eat at the start of your 6 hours, you eat, you wait about 3 to 4 hours, you eat again, and then you're done, because you're going to wait a few more hours and then go to bed after that digestion. So, but yes, intermittent fasting is definitely good. But you got to make sure when you are eating that you're eating nutritious. You can't avoid that nutritional value if you're working out, right? You're working out a certain way. You got to get those calories back in to keep your amino acids and stuff coming in, building your body. After you tear it down, you got to build your body back up. Now, if you're perfectly healthy and you don't eat much, you're not really helping or hurting anything, because you're not burning up your amino acids and stuff like that. So you got more room to to relax and fast and not do so much. You eat like maybe once every day, once every other day, and you're doing pretty good at that part. You just gotta make sure that that food is healthy when you do eat it, so that you don't be sending acid into your, so you know, every time you eat, you're sending acid in, and then you're slowly breaking yourself down over time. You gotta replace those minerals and things at some point. All right, yeah, broke it down molecularly. Which is how you want it. You want to be able to. I'm trying to give it to you guys in a way that's simple, but you feel like you can use the info, because if I show you how the target path, how things are moving when it's happening, it only makes sense to show you the reversal. If I put something in my body and I get up, if I eat meat 5 times 5 days a week and I have pain in my colon and I stop eating the meat because the meat is what made it start, stopping the meat should make it stop, right? I want everything should have a way of being explained that way. Sometimes getting into the operation of it all might feel a little difficult, because remember, your body sends signals and chemical reactions and hormones to remind you to do things you've been doing. So just saying I want to stop is not enough. When you commit the action, the body will start to send new signals and frequencies to repeat the new action. In the beginning, it's only sending signals to repeat your old actions. So saying I want to stop eating sweets, but you normally eat sweets at 3 o'clock every day, when you get close to 3, your mind is going to remind you, signals are going to come, cravings. You're going to start thinking about it more, to the point where you're kind of telling yourself just a little should be fine. You're going to start convincing yourself more and more. Your body is giving you signals to do what you've always been doing. You have to personally neglect it. Oh man, I'm starting to feel like I want that sweet. Your body's making you think about it, making you taste it even though you're not eating it. You passing by a store, you thinking about going in. You're trying to convince yourself to go in. You have to say, it's not happening, I'm going home. And you do that enough times, the craving will get stronger, and eventually your body will have a stress response that says something is changing. And it's having the stress response because it's starting to acclimate itself to the change. Like, okay, they're doing something new. Stress response says, I'm letting you know, okay, I'm trying to tell you that you're supposed to be eating. So the stress response is like, yo, eat, because you say you normally eat, you do this and that, and then you still don't do it. Your body's like, okay, something new is happening. And now it's ready to download new programming. Is the new programming to no longer eat? It can't do that for but so long. So you have to program it with something new. I'm going to exercise at this time, eat this type of food, and be healthy. Now the new food, if it's natural, start changing your gut bacteria, your taste receptors. Your body's not going to crave the same things anymore. And it's going to start creating new signals for your new cravings. So if you work out at a new time, it's going to create signals for that. If you normally eat a salad at a certain time, at that time, you're going to get reminders. Hey, at this time you eat a salad and you eat it with this on it, and it's going to make you start tasting it. Your problem is in the middle is it's going to be fighting with another taste in the middle. You have to keep reminding it this is the new taste. So prepare that. Now, every time that time comes, you're going to feel funny if you don't do what you're supposed to be doing, because your body's giving you the new signal. So make sure you do that. Let me see. Do I supplement my meals with extra vitamins, minerals, etc.? Once in a while. I gotta admit, I'm not much of a supplements kind of person. Never really have been. I just have pockets where I do it. Like, I have pockets where in the winter where I'm doing some vitamin D for probably a month and a half, and maybe not too much more. Right now, I got Inky's Blue Magic. Hold on. For those who haven't seen it, Blue Magic. I stand by it. I guarantee it. Smell like seawater. Blue Magic. Let's open that up. Yeah, there you go. You can see I got it a few days ago, so I already been scooping off some of the gel. What I do is I heat up real hot water. I take about a half to a full tablespoon, dunk it in there. Some of it dissolves as I stir it, and whatever doesn't dissolve, I start smashing it to the edges until it dissolves in. And then the water becomes gel, like not a thick gel, but you could tell it's a viscousness to your water afterward. And then because it's hot, it's easy to drink. So I just drink it down. My wife doesn't think so. She's like, nah, as long as I can smell the sea thing, it's not easy to drink. But me, with that hot water, I get this down easy. Yeah, sea mosses go down easy when I get that. But yeah, Blue Magic. You see the blue color. What else? But yeah, I'll do this. When it's time for me to do a lot of vitamins and minerals, I know you can't be so sure about the food, but I just pile on the juice and smoothies. Like when I go heavy on the health, I go heavy. Yep, and the green one's in the refrigerator, but for those who weren't here in the beginning, right? So something like this. We get that bromelain pineapple, and there's ginger in here. So regular customary drink of ginger will be sure to fire up the immune system to a certain extent. And I'm really big on color. Told people, if you guys have been on my Instagram, you know I'm really big on color. Shoot, if I got my Instagram up now, let me show you guys. They'd be like, what do you have? All right, look, that's a smoothie, right? That's got a lot of greens in it. That was a green heavy smoothie. Like it's probably like 2 apples total in that thing. Not a lot at all. See, juice, apple, kale, lemon. That's it. What else we got? Bitters. You guys see the picture of that. I got that right now, taking some bitters. I've been taking bitters for a couple of weeks now. Because like I said, I'm trimming the body out. So I take the bitters with my meals, get that down. So I got the bitters with me, the Inky bitters. What else we got? Yeah, what does it look right when I'm about to juice? This is what the bowl looks like. See? Lemon, this is spinach and dandelion greens and Granny Smith apples. So gets it cracking with that. This is I can see red kidney beans and jasmine rice. There's some thyme in there. What's that? That's coconut milk. You see some onions in there, right? Scallions, some allspice. Jamaican style, right? Let's see what else we got. Shelled hemp seeds. I was eating these while I was drawing some pictures, right? Let's see what else we got. Oh yeah, you know, I gotta be fancy. When I get my oils, gotta be extra fancy, you know, so everything look all cool. For those who were there, I did a stream on Thanksgiving a couple of years ago. So this is like potatoes with like a mushroom gravy and some green onions on top. That was good. That was one of the dishes. Let's see what else we got. Morning oatmeal. Can't go wrong with the oatmeal. There is no sugars, no honeys, no nothing in this oatmeal. It's blueberries, cinnamon, and bananas. And a little bit of nutmeg. So yeah. Goes down with that. These are this is walnut, like a walnut mushroom meat with mango salsa, and it's wrapped inside of a stalk of romaine lettuce. All of this stuff has been tested. I test all of my stuff between little kids and people who have really extreme taste buds to make sure that they think it tastes good. If they think it tastes good and it can maintain as a diet, I kind of keep it around. Because I don't want people having that excuse, oh, it's nasty. Now, if you got like real bad diseases and you got to take ultra bitter herbs, then let that be what it's going to be, right? Hold up, the stir fry. Look at all that color, aka pigment, right? These are the types of foods, like, and these are like not questionable things. Like the stuff I got in here, none of this stuff is questionable. I'll have people try and make a little bit of argument over the olive oil, but the olive oil was a finisher, so that's what you're supposed to use it as. So no big deal there. It's turmeric, it's real turmeric, real ginger in there, hot pepper seeds, broccoli, red cabbage, red onion, yellow and red peppers. Carrots are sliced in there. I know the carrot, some people will get into the Dr. Sebi thing, but it's carrot in there, you know, for the beta carotene. And, you know, it's going to be the sugars in the carrot. Or you could just say it's hybrid. But either way, it's carrot in there. Yeah, it's in there. But yeah, that's a stir fry. The longest part of making it is cutting everything. So the faster you can cut, you can have it done in as little as 20 minutes. Guacamole made from scratch. Lime juice, red onions, avocado. The chips on the side is like a blue corn, or if you can find it, Tao Cinte. Taocinte, I believe. Tau Sente, the original corn. So this is blue corn chips. Obviously with this, you don't eat a bunch of them. You take more scoops of the avocado and keep it limited on the chips. Take out the chips if you're diabetic. Just eat the avocados and get the fats in there. Right? Let's see what else. Tomato and basil. Nothing deep. I just get the cherry tomatoes and wrap that joint with some basil and eat it straight up. And there go the juices. Like I said, colors matter for me. This one's made with beets on the left. This is the pineapple and ginger one in the middle. And this is a green one on the right. All kinds of flavors and colors. Look. The real maple syrup, right? Come in the whiskey-like bottle. They thinking you drinking whiskey when really you got maple syrup, the real stuff. So have fun with it. Look, when we get shipments from the local farms, and actually this is from, I forgot, it's called something box. It's on Instagram, but they the ones who deliver the fruit. Oh, there we go. Fruits and Roots. I got it written on there. Delivery from Fruits and Roots. So this is what I do. This is how I have my fun, right? See, look at that purple potato. Look at that yamage, right? All from the local farms, co-op joints dropped off. Look, a taco meat salad. Had to dress it up, make it look good, right? There goes some supplements. Mama Atomics, Herbal Detox. The Real Honey. I love this dish right here. This is black beans and butternut squash. Or sweet, some people use sweet potato, like I got sweet potato on here. Sometimes it's butternut squash. But this is like a chili. Again, you look at all the stuff that's inside of it, all healthy. The sweet potato could be your starch. So if you're diabetic, I would take the sweet potato out, look for something else. Maybe the butternut squash will be good enough. Smoothie. I said this in the beginning. Don't go smoothie heavy if you're diabetic. Just forget about the smoothie heavy. Just keep it strictly green juice. Unless in these smoothies you're just doing greens. Like you're not cheating. You're not putting a apple in there. You're not putting anything sweet in there. It would have to be straight green. And then chase it with water. You know, because it's going to be highly concentrated. Yeah, look, we grew some stuff. Catnip. Fresh catnip is from the mint family. When I was eating potatoes, when everything's good, rosemary potatoes with onions. Yeah, so there you guys go. Look, salads. When you get your junk food on right, Beyond Burger, make your own season sauce and all that. Baobab powder. I used to have this as a regular supplement. Antioxidant power. Here's what Inky was talking about, except I think this was this peanut butter? This one was with peanut butter, but when Inky says for diabetics to pick your glucose levels back up, something safe to eat, Granny Smith apples cut up with almond butter and cinnamon. This is how I would lay it out on the plate, and I would just grab a slice and eat it. It makes an excellent snack. Like, you can't go wrong with that. Yep. But yeah, peoples, there you go. So I think that'll do it for today. Wanted to bring people up to speed. Don't forget, if you're going to look at Dr. Inky's 11-hour and then 5-hour diabetes lecture, his 5-hour one was the one with the food list towards the end. But remember, watch it in bite-sized pieces. You ain't got to rush through this stuff. Get in where you fit in. So wherever your fight is, trying to exercise, trying to eat better, chase those things down. Look for those things. Ask us to make videos on those things. Like, you know, feel free to use us to help grab because you might have a busy life doing other things. So feel free to use us to grab areas and things that you want. Tap the Cash App every now and then. My Cash App is showing at the bottom of the screen. It's $ Marvin Burwell. So every now and then, throw something in there that keeps us hyped, keeps us wanting to keep going. We start looking for new stuff to bring y'all. Because you create that room for us to be able to do it. And you know, like I said, I just want to, whatever KT, whatever Inky brings y'all, whatever is new and innovative out there, I try and find a way to make sense out of it, bring it back to you guys so you can take the information and use it in such a way. So don't forget, like the video, share. Don't forget to follow Urban Nerds Worldwide. Urban Nerds Worldwide does have a, for those of you who have a little extra money on hand, we have a GoFundMe. So go to GoFundMe.com or GoFundMe. type in Urban Nerds, it'll come up pretty quick. So the Urban Nerds is the one, that's us. We got some cool donations already, which is pretty cool. All right. So I think that'll do it. Follow me on Instagram, Marvin Health and Arts, as you just saw. That was my page right there. That's how you'll know when I'm going live sometimes. You'll have that to be able to tell you, or if my channel gets shut down for whatever reason, this is where I was telling people. So when I got shut down before, like, this is how I told people, like, yeah, they had me shut down. Hold on, my screen. All right, cool. The power cord on this laptop is weird. But yeah, you can hit the GoFundMe link. You guys got a little extra cash on hand and you want to help push Urban Nerds to see them get bigger. I will be talking this kind of nerd stuff over there too. We got to build up the channel a little bit more. Right now, we're trying to teach it to the kids and have them start teaching it out and making it look cool. So I develop the curriculum, plan out the videos, and I let the children kind of do it. So if you guys go over to Urban Nerds worldwide right now on YouTube, you'll see that we've been having the children do stuff. Okay. All right, peoples. So all my information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Like I said, feel free to support whatever way you possibly can. Definitely appreciate it. Love you guys. I will catch you in the next video. We'll try and keep it at least weekly if possible until I can do more.